What's the first rule about hands when we're in Nana's kitchen? Never put your hand in your butt, chimed 5-year-old Dominic. That wasn't quite the rule that Maria Hernandez had in mind about hands. Until that very moment, always wash your hands had been the prime directive in Maria's kitchen. But it was hard to argue with how deeply intuitive and surprisingly urgent the imperative to keep one's hands north of one's equator had become in Maria's life. For about the 49,000th time in the last 3 weeks, the thought flashed through Maria's cranium that she was not prepared for this. She had raised 3 little girls, but boys were an unknown quantity to her. What's more, Marie thought, I am just way too old to be doing this. But when her middle daughter fell back into her addiction, and when Child Protective Services called and said they would be placing Dominic with foster parents unless there were family members who were fit to care for him, well, Maria couldn't let that happen, especially not at Christmas. So yes, of course there was room at the Hernandez Inn and Suites. Of course she would take him in, and of course it was the right thing to do. Love is like that, she thought. Love sends your heart out writing checks that your soul can't possibly cover. But what is faith for, if not to teach us trust? Still, this was turning out to be a much harder curriculum than Maria had anticipated at the beginning of the course. Dominic had the energy of a hummingbird that sipped only Red Bull. He had the appetite of an entire high school wrestling team and the attention span of a squirrel monkey. In his first 3 weeks with Nana, he had taken apart the toaster, the TV remote, and the router for the Wi-Fi. None of them would ever be the same. He had also explored every closet, opened every drawer, and somehow managed to pee on every surface in the guest bathroom. Or at least it seemed that way. I am so not cut out for this, Maria said to her best friend Sylvia as the two of them sat down together. I know it's been a while since my girls were little, but I don't remember it being this exhausting. Oh, come on, Sylvia replied. Boys are not that hard. All you have to do is remember this. 1, dinosaurs are cool. Star Wars is cool. Superheroes are cooler. 2, any place, doctor's office, grocery store, church, any place is a jungle gym waiting to happen. 3, any object that is longer than a pencil and even remotely shaped like the letters L, Y, or T can and will be repurposed as a shooting toy. 4, farting and burping in public are hilarious. 5, little boys are the best cuddlers in the world once you wear them out. Oh, and one more thing, Sylvia said. Christmas is almost here, and you must remember this. Legos are your mortal enemy. They cost a fortune. They will only be built into what they're supposed to be once, ever. If you let them in your house, you will be finding them in everything for the rest of your earthly life. Should the boy child ask for any, you are to, listen carefully, loudly bewail the fact that, oh, thanks to the president's trade war, we are mired in a worldwide Lego shortage. None are available this year. And if anyone you love dares give him some, disown them immediately. Maria said, that's quite a list. She says, that's quite a list, but you didn't mention anything about dirt, bugs, blood, or boogers, or the fact that I now have 3 loose teeth from being head-butted, and that I am now literally terrified not to check his pockets before I wash his pants, and that I have absolutely no idea how to get this child to pee into an actual toilet. Oh, you're going to have to give up on that last one, sweetie, Sylvia intoned. I raised boys. Their aim is worse than Imperial stormtroopers. Febreze is your friend. But Sylvia continued, but count your blessings. You've only got one. Get 2 or more of them together and you'll get an education in rule number 6. Rule 6? Maria questioned. Rule for boys number 6, Sylvia decreed. Anything that anyone asks you all to do is automatically a competition, and the universe depends on you finishing first. If you don't win, there can be fists or tears or both. Their little hearts are tender that way. The notion that there could be more than one little Dominic shrieking through her house sent chills through Maria's heart. It had never even occurred to her to imagine what 2 or 3 of these little monsters gathered together might be like. She hoped Jesus would be there in the midst of them, but that seemed a stretch. Verily and forsooth, this is a do-it-yourself kind of deal, she imagined her Savior saying to her. You have to figure this one out on your own. Gee, thanks, Maria imagined herself saying back to the Lord with an edge to her voice. You're about as helpful as those stupid magi. Myrrh, frankincense, really? Couldn't you send them with a box of wipes? I don't know. I just don't know, Maria said, bringing the subject back to herself. I just don't think I can do this. Sylvia took a sip of her coffee. Sure you can, she said. You can do this, and I'll tell you how I know. 1, you are stronger than you think. 2, this is not personal. Boys make up half the human race, and I have it on good authority that they have always been like this. And 3, this won't last forever. They're only little boys for about a minute. Just roll with it. Whether you have Dominic for 30 days or 30 years, it goes by too fast. Maria noticed the tears welling in her best friend's eyes. She knew that it was true. She knew that Sylvia never stopped missing her now grown sons. She knew that it was true. But still, Maria was counting on her daughter to get it together, to get herself sober, to become Dominic's mom once more so Maria could have her old life back. How she missed the life she used to have. And the thought that she might not get it back. That was more than Maria could bear, but it was also the one thing that she could not stop thinking about. In fact, it was what was on her mind yesterday as she walked down to her mailbox. At last, it was close enough to Christmas that the avalanche of unwanted catalogs had slowed. There were even a few real, genuine Christmas cards in there. Maria sorted through the cards. She found and opened the one from her brother first. Inside the envelope, there was a tender watercolor of Mary, lamplit, clutching her boy, as if separation would mean the death of each of them. Inside the card on the left side, it read, "It is not true that creation and the human family are doomed to destruction and loss. It is not true that it all depends on us, or that the way things are now is how they'll always be." And then on the right side, the caption read, "This is true. For God so loved the world that God sent an only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but should have everlasting life." And underneath, in her brother's block letters, Maria read, "When love asks hard things of us, God is always closest by. For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given." Merry Christmas to Dominic, to you, and to the world. Amen.